Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you might be. When we left off in part 6, we had just added some buttons to our form, done a little bit of alignment work so that everything looked nice and neat. And we saw, of course, that the fields in the form were based on the fields in the table. But now we're going to look at one of the very important features of any database, and that is queries. A query is where I ask questions of the data, because I might want to see particular data and hide other data that I don't need to see. We also saw when we created that very first table that I created the table in Design View. We used the form wizard to create the form. So the best way to create a table is in Design View. The best way to create a form is by using the form wizard. The best way to create a query, and I'm going to click the create button here, is to use query design, because what that does, it lets me add tables to the area up the top here. So I'm going to add the friends. At this stage there's only one table in this database. There it is with all of the fields. I'll close the show table window, and below I see a grid called the QBE grid, the query by example grid, and I can add fields to that particular area by double clicking on the field names up here in the show table area. So I just want to add the first name. I'll double click the surname and we'll say the state. Now in the query, if I run the query by clicking either the datasheet view here or the run button, I'll click the run button, I see all of the entries appear for me. But let's say that I just wanted to see those people who lived in NSW, in New South Wales. So I'll go back to Design View, and here in the criteria line for the state I'm going to type NSW. And when I run the query, I see that only those people who live in that particular state are showing. That's all well and good. So back into the query in Design View. Let's say that I wanted to see anybody who lived in Victoria. VIC, I run, and therefore all of those people who live in New South Wales are hidden from me. I only see that person who lives in Victoria. That's all well and good, but I don't want to keep going back into the query in Design View and change the criteria here. So what I can do is to make what is called a parameter query. And the way I do that is to type a square bracket and then the words enter state and close the square bracket. Now when I run the query, up pops the enter parameter value window and I'll say NSW, and when I click OK, there we go, I only see those people who live in New South Wales. Let's go back into Design View, and just remember square brackets with the word enter and close the square bracket. And when you run the query, this time we'll look for anybody who lives in Victoria. There should be only one record, and there it is, Helen Smith. So that's how I can create a query, by simply dragging the fields I want down into the show table area, double click on the fields that I want to see. So again in Design View I would have simply double clicked on these particular fields. So I'm going to save this query and I'm going to call it friends by state. And when I click OK, I see over here in the object pane that now there is not only the table called friends and the form called friends, but there is also a query called friends by state. The next thing I'm going to do is to double click on date of birth, because I want to see the dates of birth when I run the query. but I don't particularly want the date of birth there. I'm going to click in that top area. I'll just show you that again. See the little black arrow there? When I click that, it selects that field. Now with my mouse pointing at the just near the top, I can change the order of how I'm going to see the query. So I'll click away, I will run the query, and here enter by state will say NSW, and OK, and this time I see just those people who live in NSW, but I also see their dates of birth as well. So practice that, how to make queries. Remember, create your query in design view, double click on the field names to put them down into the grid, run the query, create if you wish a parameter query, and you'll just see the information that you need to on the screen. This is part 7 of the how to create an Access database. In the next part, in part 8, when that is uploaded, I'll show you how to use the between dates or equal to date, etc. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and importantly guys, don't forget to practice. Thank you.